Hey everybody, it's Mr. Fearless here. Been gone for a while once again. Very bad at uploading videos consistently. Um, Today we're going to be doing probably one of my most in-depth videos. The other day I saw an interesting, I don't remember if it was an article or just an interview with Michael Vick, but they were asking him if he thought Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray reminded him more of himself. And so obviously they mean as the mobile quarterback in the NFL because they're really the ones that are more similar to Vic. Nothing against Marcus Mariota. He's obviously a mobile quarterback, but let's be honest, he's not great. And he's not a speed demon. These three guys right here that we're talking about today, Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray, they are three of the fastest quarterbacks that have ever been able to perform well. We don't know how Kyler's going to perform at the NFL level, but Michael Vick obviously performed very well at the NFL level. Lamar Jackson, I'm slightly biased towards just because I'm a Ravens fan, but I know he's not amazing. Obviously, his accuracy for an NFL quarterback is way below par. But I mean, he's better than Tim Tebow. That's how I kind of look at it when I'm comparing guys that were really good in college to guys in the NFL. Um, he's very good compared to Tim Tebow. I think it was his first year, and I think he's got a ways to go. But basically, just looking to see. I pulled up all their stats and awards, everything about them. I have them all right here in front of me. Um, just to see statistically who was most like Vic. Vic's answer was Kyler Murray. Um, I really don't know how much I agree with that after looking at the stats, but I mean, I didn't watch Kyler Murray a lot in college either, so I guess that's more up to the people who have watched him. I'm just giving you the stats here. I'm also not a big fan of Kyler Murray being 5'10" as an NFL quarterback. He's shorter than every offensive lineman he's going to have. Um, I'm not saying I'm going with the John Elway path that you got to be 6'5" because obviously Vic's 6 feet tall, Lamar Jackson 6'2", and Kyler Murray is 5'10". So obviously none of these guys are giants by any means, but I don't know why 5'10" seems like such a big difference to 6 feet tall. I guess it's really not that big of a difference when you think about it. It's what, 2 inches? I mean, 6'2". Lamar's got quite the height advantage on him, but they're all around the same weight. So let's get diving in deep to these three quarterbacks here. So we're gonna start with Michael Vick. Obviously, he played first long before either of these two were even heard of. Um, So Vic, 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, went to Virginia Tech. He was taken #1 overall in the 2001 draft. Um, Now, I did collect NFL stats for all three of these guys, or for Lamar and Vic, but obviously Kyler hasn't played in the NFL yet, so I don't think it's a very good. I don't think it's useful to even come up with those stats because one, Michael Vick played umpteen seasons. Lamar Jackson has played half a season. Kyler Murray has played 0 seasons. So I went ahead and I got their college stats as well because obviously they all played college football. Every NFL player does for the most part. Um, and so I have Michael Vick played 2 years in college. Both of these two, Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, played 3. They played 3, but I never knew this until I looked up today that Kyler Murray originally committed to Texas A&M, and he actually played there for a little bit his freshman year. He then he transferred, so he couldn't play his true sophomore year. He transferred to Oklahoma, so he played 3 years, but he was in college for 4. So he's already 21, taken at the #1 overall spot, which I just don't think 21 is just already feels so old sometimes for an NFL player nowadays. I mean, I mean, at least it's not Brandon Weeden, who's already 26 years old, I guess. That's what he's got going for him, is that he's not Brandon Weeden. Um, so comparing these guys, I have all the awards that they've all won right here. Michael Vick never managed to win the Heisman. He came in third place in voting in 1999 and sixth place in voting in 2000, whereas Lamar won it in 2016 and came in third in 2017, with Kyler Murray only even being in discussion for it one time. He won it last year in 2018. So Vick and Murray were both drafted number 1 overall in their drafts, 18 years apart. And Lamar Jackson was drafted with the last pick in the first round. However, Lamar Jackson has all the awards you could ever dream of, compared to Michael Vick, who the only things he ever won in college, he won Big East Rookie and Offensive Player of the Year in 1999. He did not win a single other award in college football. Now you go to Lamar Jackson, who won the Maxwell Award for those. I had to look these up because I wasn't 100% sure what all of them are. So for those of you that don't know, the Maxwell Award is an MVP type award for college football, selected by multiple different committees. You got the Associated Press and all those people. He also won. That was in 2016. The year he won the Heisman. He also won the Walter Camp Award, which is pretty much the same thing, just selected by different people. So if you needed any validation. And then if you need more validation, he won AP Player of the Year in 2016 for college football. So that was... Oh, no, hold on. We got a fourth one here. Sporting News Player of the Year in 2016. 4 different committees selected Lamar Jackson as the best college football player across the entire country in 2016. If you wanted to know how good of a season he had his Heisman year. He was a unanimous All-American that year. He was the ACC Player of the Year and ACC Offensive Player of the Year in 2016 and 2017, and the ACC Athlete of the Year in 2018, playing for Louisville. Now, Kyler Murray won the Davey O'Brien Award this past year, which is the award for the best quarterback. Apart from that, he won the AP Press College Football Player of the Year and the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. So, I mean, you look at the awards. Lamar won 4 MVP type awards in one season. Kyler won Best Quarterback and Player of the Year from the AP Press. Obviously, I think the AP Press has the most pull and the most say in what people listen to. And then he was also first-team All-American this past year. He had so many high school awards. I didn't really care about high school awards because there have been multiple players that are great in high school and don't do anything. High school awards don't really mean anything, at least as far as on a performance basis higher than a high school football level. He was also first-team Big 12 this past year, obviously. He really only... I did his averages for college, but the thing that I noticed is that they were really skewed because I was doing it by... I was pulled on my calculator, got going. I had, for his per year stats, I had divided by 3 because he played 3 years, but I ended up just writing down his 2018 stats because in 2016 and 2017 he actually only played 15 games combined, whereas he played a whole 14 in 2018. So, and that was also his best year, so I just feel like that was kind of the fairest way of doing a comparison, I guess. Even though I don't like Kyler Murray, I got to be fair to him. So, to start off with Michael Vick's stats, I guess, for college. Played in 22 games. He only played 2 seasons, so averaged 11 games a season. But he had more. He played in a bowl game 1 year, so that was included into the stats. He had 192 completions on 343 attempts. The big difference that I found across the board is that Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson's completion percentages are absolutely atrocious. Kyler Murray's completion percentage, even just comparing them in college, not even including the NFL stats that I have pulled for him, Kyler Murray had a 69% completion percentage, and as I just said, Michael Vick had a 56% completion percentage in his college career, and Lamar Jackson had a 57% completion percentage in his college career. So that's more than a 10% difference completion-wise. So that, just based on that, I would have to say Kyler Murray probably has the better, more accurate arm out of the three. He also has the worst rushing stats out of the three, but as a quarterback going into the NFL level, I really don't think that's as important. I've seen Tom Brady scramble for 15 yards, and we all know he is one of the least athletic people to ever play in the National Football League. See, that's what I don't like. That's another video. I say that he's the least athletic. I'm not saying he's not skillful, but that guy cannot move. He can't do anything besides throw the football like one of the best players I've ever seen. But he's not athletic. So Vic pretty much had a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in 2 seasons. Whereas Lamar Jackson had 69 touchdowns to 27 interceptions. That's just passing touchdowns. That doesn't include the rushing stats. This is too much math to do in my head right now to figure out the ratio, but it's probably roughly, it's not quite the same. It's pretty close. And then Kyler Murray here had 50 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So pretty much anything to do with throwing the football, statistics-wise, Kyler Murray beats them out pretty badly, actually. Makes them look like they don't know how to throw the football. Now, going down to the averages, I'm going to skip Kyler's averages that I pulled because, like I said, it really skewed his stats just based on the fact that he didn't really start to play until his junior/senior season. It was his junior year of eligibility, but it was his 4th year of college. But average-wise for the other two, Lamar and Vic, we had Vic with 5.5 yards a carry. Obviously, mobile quarterbacks, going to take a look at their rushing stats. He had 5.5 yards a carry. He had 7 yards a carry in his career in the NFL, which is amazing. But Lamar Jackson had 6.3 yards a carry in his college career. So, it's about a yard difference. I don't really think that's that big of a deal. You're not talking about completions. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how to compare what yards per carry, what a 1 yard difference really means. I guess a 1 yard difference is a lot more important when you're talking about rushing than when you're talking about passing. Obviously, a 26-yard pass versus a 27-yard pass, no one really cares. But a 5-yard carry versus a 6-yard carry, obviously 6 sounds better. And it sounds, I don't know, just because when you think about rushing the football, you're just trying to get those 10 yards, get that first down. So I guess that's why 6.3 yards a carry sounds so much better than 5.5. And Kyler Murray had roughly 7.1 yards a carry. So, again, Kyler Murray statistically beats them out again. That's what I came to find. Is based on statistics, which is not everything. Not saying it is. Just pulling the statistics for you people to know what's going on here. Kyler Murray is pretty much at the collegiate level the better quarterback. Now, obviously, the collegiate level doesn't necessarily mean anything whatsoever. There's been guys like Tim Tebow and Jamarcus Russell who were the greatest player in their draft class, and they just ended up being big busts at the NFL level. Then there's guys like Tom Brady who get drafted in the 6th round, never heard of, who don't even know what his stats were in college, that end up being the greatest quarterback of all time. Not the greatest player of all time, but the greatest quarterback of all time. Now going into stats per year, just going to go with Lamar and Vic here because Kyler really only had 1 year that was really kind of eligible to pull anything for. Um, Vic had a 10.5 passing touchdowns per year stat line. So that compared to Lamar Jackson, who had 23 passing touchdowns per year. Nope. Yes, that's correct. Okay. So much different time. Obviously, the colleges, Virginia Tech compared to Louisville. Then you're comparing those two to Oklahoma. They're so different from each other. It's not even funny. I really sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I promise I do. I just am terrible at getting out the right way. See, I already fucked up talking right there. So basically, Lamar Jackson, as many of you may have heard in his Heisman season, he had that thing where he was scoring 5, 6 touchdowns a game, like 5 games in a row. So that kind of skewed his stat line too a little bit to a certain degree. It's just how college works. You're playing a maximum of 4 years. You have one really good year, it's going to skew your entire average stat line. So that's why I really don't think the stats matter all that much. You have to watch the tape, not the combine tape. The combine is one of the most useless things ever. That's why I don't even have their combine stats on here. It really doesn't show anything. Anything that you show there doesn't necessarily mean anything. We have, for Vic, we had 22 games of film on him. We had 38 games of film on Lamar Jackson and 29 games of film on Kyler Murray. So if there's something that you show at the combine that I can't see in anywhere from 22 to 38 games, I'm not doing my job as a scout. Now, someone that you may not have heard of goes to the combine, puts on a good performance, you go back, and then you look at their film because of what they showed at the combine. That's a different story, obviously, but that's also what pro days are for, in my opinion. But back to the averages here. Michael Vick was averaging basically 1,650 yards passing a year versus Lamar's 3,014.3 yards passing a year. So that's obviously a big difference. Lamar's average stats per year are just so amazing because all 3 years he played in college were very good. His freshman year obviously wasn't noticed as much. He's probably one of the only people I've ever heard of winning the Heisman, and then the next year still playing and not winning the Heisman. I mean, he came in third, but anyways, Lamar Jackson had one of the greatest collegiate careers that I've ever seen at the quarterback position. So, yes, I'm comparing college stats. No, I don't think it means that much. I couldn't tell you who's the fastest quarterback. I'm not going to look up a 40-yard dash time to tell you who's the fastest quarterback. It's a 40-yard dash means nothing. How often are you running 40 yards down the field with no one in your way, with no equipment on? That's right. You don't. Obviously, they're all quick. That's why they're in this conversation. But just looking at the stats, I'm going to go to Kyler Murray's rushing stats real quick. His total college rushing stats for all 3 years that he played, basically 2. 207 rushes for 1,478 yards and 13 touchdowns. Comparing that to the rushing stats of these other two, it looks like he can't move at all because Lamar Jackson, 655 rushes, 4,132 yards, and 50 touchdowns. 50 rushing touchdowns versus 13. You tell me based on statistics, do you think Kyler Murray can run? Because I'm sure a lot of people can maybe scamper in for 13 touchdowns over 3 years of college football compared to a quarterback rushing for 50 touchdowns while also throwing for 69, whereas Kyler threw for, let me see here, 50 touchdowns over 3 years. So, I mean, you pick your poison there. Statistics-wise, Lamar Jackson looks like one of the greatest college football players ever, like I've already said. But then you go to Michael Vick here. He had 17 rushing touchdowns. So he's actually very comparable to Kyler Murray, even yardage-wise. 1,299 yards, 1,478 yards, 235 rushes, 207 rushes. And this is 18 years apart. And these guys' rushing stats in college look almost identical. Now, passing-wise, Michael Vick didn't actually throw the ball that much compared to Kyler Murray. He also played one season less. But the averages for them, if I was just to compare Vick's average to Kyler's 2018 season, I guess, he was averaging 96 completions a year versus Kyler just had 260 completions this past year on 377 attempts. But like I already said earlier, with the completion percentage, obviously Kyler Murray has a much better completion percentage. He makes the smart decisions. He can read the defenses. Obviously, I'd say he probably has the better arm. Also drafted to go play baseball. Decided against that, which I would not do. Baseball, you're not as likely to get hurt. Your money is more guaranteed. They were willing to pay him so much money to go play baseball, and he decided against that. So obviously he loves the game of football. And that's one thing that I have to applaud him for. As much as I say I don't like him, I have never really seen him play. I can't wait to see him play this year. I think the one good thing Kyler's got going for him this year, he got Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson there with him. I believe David Johnson's still there. So that's two veteran guys to help him. The only thing I don't like that he has going for him is that a guy that had an offensive coordinator job at a lowly college football team was fired as the head coach from the college, from Texas, whatever. Hired as an offensive coordinator for USC. Only the offensive coordinator, not even the head coach. He leaves that job to take a head coaching job in the NFL, and they think that's better than Steve Wilkes, who was, yes, horrible. No, I don't think he should have been fired after one season. That was very dumb in my opinion. Also drafting a quarterback 1 year after you drafted a quarterback in the first round, just trading him for absolutely nothing. Two very dumb decisions made by the Cardinals. Which is why they sit at the bottom of the NFC West year after year. Even though Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL and the Seahawks, my Seahawks, they have sucked. But when you make dumb front office decisions, it kills you more than the performance on the field. Let's see. Back to the topic of the video, now that I've gone on another one of my rants. Stats-wise, rushing stats-wise, 117 rushes a year for Vick, 140 rushes for Murray. The yardage is about a 400-yard difference. 8.5 touchdowns a year for Vick compared to 12 for Murray. Of course, Murray, it's just a one season, so I'm comparing one Heisman season to third place Heisman and sixth place Heisman season combined. Which is why, again, it's so hard to compare college football stats, because you play so few years. So basically, getting back to what I was really trying to get to here, before I just started mumbling and talking about random shit and going back and forth, being very unorganized like I love to do. Michael Vick said Kyler Murray reminds him more of himself. Going into this, I thought there was no way in hell the stats would even come close to showing that. The stats very much showed that. Lamar Jackson, obviously, one of the greatest college football quarterbacks. Comparing this, his stats are so skewed because of his 2016 season where he had so many touchdowns consistently. So statistically average-wise, Kyler Murray and Michael Vick are very comparable to each other. They're also closer in height, not in weight, but who really cares about weight for a quarterback? They were both drafted number 1 in their drafts 18 years apart. Obviously, Vic didn't really win the whole awards thing in college, but he was a 4-time Pro Bowler in 2002, 2004, 2005, and 2010. He won Comeback Player of the Year in 2010. And he won the Burt Bell, which is an MVP type of award for the NFL, in 2010. And then he had his 2 college football awards. That was also at a much different time. They're very comparable to each other. And obviously, I don't think the statistics say everything, because statistics say that Jamarcus Russell should have been one of the best quarterbacks to ever play football for the Raiders. Jamarcus Russell is overweight by a lot, obese, doing nothing, and not getting paid any money anymore. Darren McFadden, one of the greatest college football running backs there was, out of Oklahoma, I believe. Injuries plagued his career. He could have been so good. Injuries plagued his career. He wasn't that good. He was an above-average running back, probably. He was a little before my time, but I just know injuries plagued his career. Statistics don't mean anything. You gotta watch the film, watch the performance. I'll obviously be watching Kyler and Lamar Jackson pretty closely this year. Kyler Murray's in division rivals team of my Seahawks. Lamar Jackson's on my other favorite team, the Ravens. Michael Vick could have been a Hall of Fame player, in my opinion, but we all know that he threw that down the drain for no apparent reason, threw the money away, threw the career away. That's a reason that a lot of people don't like Mr. Vick. So basically, in conclusion, statistic-wise, Kyler Murray and Michael Vick are almost the same exact player in college. Now, we'll have to see how they compare up after Kyler plays not 1, but 2 or 3 college years. Start to look at him and Lamar again once they've both had some NFL experience, really, because Lamar played like the last half of the season. He started 7 games for the Ravens, so he didn't even play exactly half of the season for them. Obviously, it's all about how you perform at the NFL level. No one cares how good or bad you are in college if you can be one of the best players in the NFL. That's ultimately what it comes down to. And so I'm talking about all these college stats, and I truly don't believe it matters one bit. But it was just an interesting comment that Vic made that made me want to look and see how comparable he really was to Kyler versus Lamar. And that's going to be it for this one. Probably going to be AFK for a while again because, I have no other ideas for videos to make, and no one ever comments to tell me what to make, besides people that say, Minecraft, Minecraft. I'm not 10. I'm 18. I will not be playing Minecraft on my YouTube channel. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any opinions on anything that I talked about today or anything I missed that you want to point out, go for it. I would appreciate it very much, actually. Subscribe if you want to see more of my shitty video making. You can even like the video, dislike it. I know that's what a lot of you love to do. And I'm checking out Mr. Fearless. Gone. See you guys later.